Oh, look at that. We're back.
Oh,
Oh. Right, you're not seeing things. We are back with a brand new episode of the After Show. That's right. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 1. Premiered today. Obviously, I've got my compadre, my man-at-arms, Mr. a.k.a. Miss High Complex Cosplay. How you doing, Jeff, today?
I am wonderful, JS. I literally watched the episode like an hour and a half ago, so I'm jacked, I'm juiced. I'm probably going to watch it again, but I mean, for now, I want to react to it. I want to talk about it. Let's do this.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to take a little bit of a different format because we want to keep these episodes a little bit shorter than what we had for the last season. We're not going to do an episode recap anymore. We're going to jump right into our thoughts, our highlights, our low points, and then we'll leave it at that. What do you think?
I think that's great. I think you guys, if we're assuming you've watched the episode, like we've said at the top of every one of these, if you haven't watched this, go watch that, then watch this. That's why we're not going to do a full recap, because we're dropping spoilers. So if you haven't watched this, you shouldn't be watching this, basically.
Yes.
Right? So
100%.
First question to you, sir. Did this live up to the hype? Did this live up to what we waited for all the way through season 1? Is this on par with what we got in season 1? Yes or no?
So I think as an episode itself, for me, it was all right. I think it kicked off season 2 very well. I think that they did some cool things with their new chief engineer, who already one episode in, I'm freaking in love with her.
Carol Kane, guys. Carol Kane.
She's amazing.
Yep.
So I liked it. It was a good episode. Was it one of the best episodes in Star Trek? No. Picard season 3 has kind of put a damper on what is a good episode, but it was a good episode. And I think it's a great way to kick off season 2. And if it goes uphill from here, we're in for a treat. What about
I was worried about the Picard season 3 comparisons and such, and I get that. I had to forcibly remember myself. No. This is an episodic show. This is a show that hits the ground running, gets you in, gets you out in 42 minutes or whatever it is, and that's all it's meant to do. If it whatever it is, it's all it's meant to do. It's not meant to be a deep character study. It's not meant to have these huge overarching plot threads that run the entire season. It's meant to be a fun adventure. It's not meant to be a Picard season 3. So,
and at that, this was a fun adventure.
I thought it was a fantastic episode. I thought it absolutely lived up to everything we got in the first season. I thought it felt way more like Strange New Worlds than it did Picard, and that's how I want it to feel. I want this to be different.
Yeah, I don't want this to feel like Picard. Don't get me wrong. This needs to feel like Strange New Worlds. I did feel like the whole stealing the Enterprise thing,
fantastic,
getting a little old. Like
right out of Star Trek 3, man.
Everybody's stealing the Enterprise.
No, I loved it. I loved it. It felt like a nod to Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, when they steal the Enterprise to go search for Spock, hence the title of the film. I did find it funny that, of course, Pike had to be off, like just go off screen. Like, I'm going to be on a shuttle for 3 days, so don't you crazy kids get up to anything bad or anything. And then they go and steal the Enterprise.
Let's steal the ship.
Let's steal the Enterprise and go get to La'an. Cool seeing La'an again, obviously, on this interesting world. I've never seen this before in Trek, where a dilithium mining planet that's shared between the Federation and the Klingons, and every 30 days they rotate who gets to mine it, because it's right on the edge of Klingon space. That's kind of dope. Like, I've never really seen it. It starts to shed some light on the early parts of the Klingon Federation first treaty and eventual alliance, and how they get to that point by having stuff like this.
And I think that's why they did it.
Yeah. And how did you feel the Klingons? How did you feel they looked? How do you feel like they acted? Are you happy?
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with the Klingons. Again, I think I've said it 100 times before. My real issue with the Klingons is that they had no hair, right? When Discovery brought the Klingons back and everybody's freaking out that they didn't look like Klingons, they did look like Klingons. They just had no hair. That was the only real difference. Once they added hair, now they look like Klingons again, right? So right. I have no issues with them. Cool. I had more of an issue with the Klingons in the Kelvin movies, in Star Trek Into Darkness, than this. Those Klingons just didn't look right to me.
That's cool. But here, you thought they looked all right.
I liked how they look.
We got to see
I feel like I know the actor of the main Klingon.
Of like the captain of the battle cruiser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I know that actor. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't go and look it up. but he was great. I loved
Yep.
him.
Yep.
I loved how he right away kicked off a relationship with Spock, which I think that relationship is going to come and play later in the season or in other seasons.
I would hope so.
I like the new Klingon battle cruiser.
That D7 battle cruiser, yeah.
Yeah.
The new old one.
The new old one, because now it's got motion in its nacelles and it's got like,
well, that was when that disruptor dropped and locked in place. I was like, all right, it's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, they're pushing the boundaries of things that they just probably couldn't do before, or maybe were just too difficult or too expensive to do before, that now they can go back and do. So I like that type of stuff.
And the running firefight between the stolen Federation ship and the Enterprise through the ice rings, the red ice rings, the planet itself. Like, the effects in the show are bananas. Like, bananas. Like, the best you're going to see. I don't care if you're watching a movie or on TV or anything. They're spending some money on this show.
Yeah.
The effects were great. The costumes were great. They all had to get into costumes when they went down to the planet below to find La'an and see what's going on there. This was a very Spock. If you like Spock, this is your episode, man. This is a very, very Spock heavy episode. I even liked how they explained why, because I've seen some people talking about, especially in the trailers, they've shown Spock to be very emotional, and people are like, hashtag this isn't my Spock, he's too emotional. Well, now we found out why he's being so emotional right now. It's a phase, kids. It's going through a phase. You had your goth phase when you were a teenager. Spock's going through his I'm half human, my psychological blocks against emotions are gone right now. I'm going to be emotional for a little bit. And this is that's really keyed in this episode with all the stuff between him and Chapel, which is going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, because right off the bat, they're kicking it back off with Spock and Chapel from the first scene of the show.
They're not messing around. They're not being subtle about that. They're right in your face with that. So
yeah, they're focusing right on that right again. So it will be interesting to see where that goes. I did notice a couple different uniforms in this episode.
Right.
Which,
because M'Benga wears a slightly different uniform than the rest of them.
So does Uhura.
Yes. Yep. And even so does the new chief engineer, although she was technically assigned to, or she was on Earth, or she was like she's teaching a class or something.
She's she's assigned to Starbase 1. So she's wearing technically the Starbase 1 uniform and badge. Right. You can see her badge is different, right?
Yes. Yes.
So she's wearing the Starbase 1 uniform and badge. And I know you hate that. I know you hate the different uniforms and all that nonsense.
I don't hate it.
I think it's cool. It gives an opportunity to fans like us to geek out and go out and buy new uniforms.
Just like,
come
on, man. There's no consistency in this. I don't hate it. It's just a pet peeve, right?
I know. Yeah. For me, I was worried that a lot of the scenes we saw in the trailer were going to be from episode 1, which they were.
They were. Absolutely, they were.
But key scenes were not.
Yeah. We didn't see Kirk.
We didn't see Kirk.
We didn't see any of Pike, other than like I said, like Pike. You crazy kids don't break the ship.
We barely saw any of Una.
That's right. Just that opening
whole
scene with
story
Pike,
hasn't
basically.
been concluded yet.
That's right.
So what we thought first episode, they'll be the trial and then she'll be back. Like nothing ever happened.
Nope.
We were wrong.
Yeah,
Not what happened.
Not what happened.
Una is still in prison and she's somehow communicating.
And now
with
Pike is off to talk to a lawyer that's possibly going to be able to defend Una from whatever trial that Starfleet would be putting her on, or the Federation, or whatever it is. I don't know.
The impression in that time frame, lawyers were all gone.
I mean, they have shown trials in various different eras of Trek before.
They have.
They have shown at least somebody representing some types of things. But yeah, it would be weird for a lawyer in the 22nd century. But I don't know, man. Here we are, I guess.
Either way, I was worried that the trailer was all going to be the first episode, which it wasn't.
Nope.
A lot of it was like the Spock. I would like the ship to go.
I would like the ship to go now. Him drinking, with the Klingons.
Him drinking with the Klingons. The costumes when they're on the planet.
Yeah. Even Chapel and M'Benga like blowing themselves out of the airlock and stuff. That's all in the trailer. Yeah.
So I think it worked well in the sense that means a lot of what's to come we know nothing about.
Right.
Which I'm happy about.
Same.
At the same time, it didn't spoil the first episode because it's not like, oh, we know what's happening because everything was in the trailer. It wasn't like that, which is kind of what I was worried about.
Yep.
Overall, it was an okay episode. I did like, for me, they're stealing Federation technology, or they're buying Federation technology, and clearly buying Federation ship parts, and then built a Federation ship in a cave underground without nobody ever knowing that this was happening, without the Federation realizing that this is happening. I feel like that might have been one of those things that should have been maybe like a story that evolved into, oh, you find out that that's what they're up to. But again,
well, you keep saying it was just okay. So what are your, like, are there just a few little nitpicks, like stealing the Enterprise and building a ship? Like, what is it that this episode missed for you that you got to a point where you're just like, well, it's okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So I'm going to rephrase this, because it was a good episode. It was just okay for me because, again, season 1, the deeper you got into season 1, the better it got. And then we got Picard season 3, which just blew us out of the water. To me, this episode, compared to season 1 and Picard, was okay. It, for me, wasn't on par with the rest of those episodes.
Okay, that's fair. Yep.
I
would agree with you. It's not on par with Picard season 3, but then nothing is. I felt this was very much on par with season 1, though. I felt this was literally like the look, the feel, the tone, the action.
I feel a lot of it was set up. A lot of
it's the first episode, of course. Yeah, exactly. Of course. But remember, it is still episodic. So while some of it's going to be set up, some of that shit you're never going to see again, because they just 100%. Hit the reset button next week, right? It's a whole new Scooby-Doo mystery next week. So like the Una shit, obviously, and Pike and all that, you're going to see that next week. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that was more the focus last week and they give Spock a bit of a break since he was the focus this week. But yeah, remember, this is not serialized like all the other Treks that we've been watching lately. This is episodic. So
what I did really, 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 really like is the characters.
Right.
You could see that now it's season 2. They're more established in their roles. They're more themselves. They're more the characters.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
No, it
the
does.
Dynamic is much more believable. That cast, man. That cast.
No, it's fantastic. Let me leave you. So now we filled the 2 spots, right? So because at one point he says we're still missing a chief engineer, which is obviously going to be Carol Kane.
Yeah.
And we're missing our head of security, which I'm assuming La'an is going to come back into the fold now. Because she was kind of looking over there when the little girl was like, "What are you going to do now, Leon?" And she's like, I'm going to be looking at Spock's pecs, and I'm going to go back to the ship now. So and who can blame her? So yeah, I think you're right. I think other than Carol Kane, who we'll have to get to know now, we know everybody now. So now we can delve into more of character. And hey, Spock's there fucking playing the harp now. Let's pick up this shit. Yeah. Throwback again to the original series, watching him jam on that harp. So that's pretty cool. It was a nice little nod as well. So yeah, overall, man, if I had to give this a rating, I'd probably have it around 7.5 out of 10. I really like this episode. So
yeah, I agree.
And I agree with you that they're obviously setting some stuff up to build on throughout the course of characterization too, but it still felt like a great swashbuckling adventure, which is what I want this fucking show to be. I want them exploring strange new worlds, and that's exactly what they're doing. They took us somewhere we hadn't been before.
Yeah,
we got to see a couple of ships we hadn't seen yet. So we got to see a running firefight that was super dope. What more do you want, man? Did you
notice the ship they were building underground had the same style saucer section as the Discovery?
Yes, but it was laid out like the Reliant, which was pretty cool too. Yeah. No. There's lots of really cool little wink nod to that for sure.
And then you said the whatever they call it,
the harp, whatever it is, thing, that Vulcan harp thing.
Was it just a callback to the original series?
Absolutely.
They had a lot of little bits and Easter eggs and bits
for sure.
And I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, as long as Star Trek keeps throwing Easter eggs for the Uber fans, they've got it made.
Yeah, we're happy,
right?
Of course.
It's when they start trying to reinvent the wheel that I think they start losing people. Right?
No, for sure. But I think it's important for these guys to still be a contemporary show. Like, you can't completely live in the past as much as we love Picard, because this is the kind of show. Picard isn't the show that brings new viewers in. It just keeps us viewers happy, us fans happy. Strange New Worlds has the ability to bring new people in. You've got all these young, is this the most beautiful cast on television? It might be. You get all these young, hot cast members out there, and you don't need to have a lot of lore to appreciate the show. Just having the extra lore in your head gives you a little bit more, me a little bit more. But this is the show that's going to bring new people in, I think, in ways Discovery did not. And that's what I'm looking forward to as far as the show taking off in popularity. So,
were there any low points for you, Jeff?
It did. The only thing I felt was a little bit, and again, I think because I have to get Picard season 3 out of my head, is it did feel a little rushed. It did feel a little like we're moving on to the next action sequence all the time with not a whole lot of stops or breaks in between. But then I have to remember, they're not building a 10-arc story.
No, it's
they're building
one and done.
One and done. So I just have to get out of that mentality. I have to get back to the way things were in season 1 of this show and stop remembering all of, because it's all I watch on anything else is serialized TV. So everything is like this slow burn. Whereas with this show, it's like, dude, we got to get in and out in 50 minutes on this adventure. Like, we got to get going.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes in, he's like, we're stealing the Enterprise. I'm like, what? And then they're just there. Like, you don't even show them, like, the next thing you know, you see M'Benga on the planet.
They go to warp, and then they're there. Yeah.
Like, they're just there. So, yeah. But so that's for me. I have to turn that in my head.
I appreciated how they did that, though, because it showed us that we're not going to screw around. We're not going to waste time with platitudes and you know, oh, we're going to fly for 14 hours. And what are we going to do in the meantime? Check the warp. No, but there's none of that bullshit, right?
Right.
It's
we're going,
leaving,
we're there.
And then we're there, right? It doesn't matter how we get there. It doesn't matter how we, you know, how they didn't see us arrive. It doesn't matter how we beamed onto the planet undetected. We're there. We're getting it done. We're out. We're gone, right? Like, it made me feel a little bit like the first season of Mando. It gave me that vibe of an episode, and you know, again, like I said, it's a great way to start season 2, sorry. And if this is a sign of things to come, I think we're gonna have a great show again this year.
I would agree.
What did you guys think? Did you guys enjoy episode 1?
Let us know.
Let us know below. Yeah. Are there things we should have talked about that we didn't think of?
Of course.
Let us know below. Leave a comment. Click that like button. Hey, while you're at it, why don't you click the subscribe and notification bell? That way it'll make sure you never miss any time we upload a video.
Because we will be here this same bat time, this same bat channel next week to talk about episode 2 of season 2 of Strange New Worlds. So you do not want to miss it.
That's correct. In the meantime, I'm going to say, stay geeky, everybody. Live long and prosper. We'll see you next week.